1 year ago, we went out and bought the camper. And so in this episode, we want to talk all about the expenses involved in owning and maintaining a camper for a year. Hey everybody, we are Kyle and Mary Kate, and this is our channel, Adventures and Activities. Welcome. If it's your first time here, please, we would like you to take a minute to hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell.
Yep, please do that right now.
That way you'll get a notification every time we put out a new episode. Our channel is all about adventures and activities with our family. So 1 year ago, we went out and bought the camper. And so in this episode, we want to talk all about the expenses involved in owning and maintaining a camper for a year.
Right. This was.
Okay, so in our first year, our largest expense would be what I would call startup. We spent $2,800 on startup expenses.
Yeah, and I think we were a good balance of being pretty frugal, but also not being stupid and saying, oh, we don't need that safety thing, or we don't need this thing that would make our lives and our trips a little more pleasurable and easy.
So I think some of the things that I would touch on, outside of the trailer, big expenses, we had to get our van outfitted with a proper hitch and brake controller. So that was a big expense. If your truck or tow vehicle already is equipped with the proper hitch, that's a big savings you'd have.
Yeah.
So that was one. And then all what I would call just hookup, everything it takes to hook the trailer up to the tow vehicle or to hook the trailer up at the campsite. So for us, there was great videos out there on everything you need equipment wise. But for us, that was things like power connections. So the trailer came with a power cord, but we needed surge suppressors, and we needed the dog bones to connect 30 amp, 50 amp. We plug it in when it's at home. We plugged it in when we were at friends' houses where it's plugging into 110. So all your electrical hookups, sewer hookups. We needed to make sure that we had all the connections from the tanks to the sewers,
Right.
And then finally freshwater intake hookups. So we needed water hose. We needed we bought a little filter system, and all of those hookup things.
Right.
Additionally, we bought and used leveling, right? So you needed we bought the name brand is Anderson blocks, which are these kind of little ramps that you roll up on. So when you pull into a campsite, they're not always perfectly level, and you need to make some adjustments in the trailer to get yourself situated level. So we had both like the Anderson block kind, and then we had I guess they look kind of like big Legos.
Yeah, they look like big yellow Legos. Yeah. But I think initially we were wondering, would we need both kind? And I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Different situations, different types of ground cover that you're running into definitely means that you will use a combination of different things nearly every single time.
And, I think Mary Kate already said safety. We didn't want to skimp on, right? So safety, getting the travel trailer level, and then, makes for it to be more stable when, we've got kids running around in there.
Dogs moving around.
Yeah. We just don't want any accidents.
Right.
And then, on the outside of the trailer, still on that kind of hookup expenses, the other ones we had were, chocks, X-chocks, all kinds of equipment just to lock the trailer in place when it's unhooked from the tow
Right.
vehicle, but at the campsite and secure. So those expenses outside the trailer. Inside the trailer, we had a lot of stuff, but there was some home decorating.
Well, so I think this is where it comes into play. What do you shop your own home first? What do
Right.
you have? Because years ago we owned a lake home. We had a lot of pots and pans,
Yep,
dishes,
yep.
coffee makers that we had been storing for a couple of years, and we went through that first.
Yeah.
That said, it's really good to have the washable stuff like plates
Yeah.
and silverware and stuff, but most of the time we use paper and plastic products,
Yeah.
especially if you're not hooked up to sewer.
Yeah.
Or if you're dry camping. So that was good first to go and do that and take inventory of what we had, and then go to the store.
Yeah.
And different things like we wanted mattress covers. This was a used trailer. We wanted to either buy new mattresses or get mattress covers.
Yep.
Go through your bedding. We downgraded some bedding, sheets that we had existing, and then we kind of moved stuff around. New shower curtain, just felt better about that.
Yeah.
Things like that. And then, I think little knickknacks. But we really didn't know what we wanted in that category until we saw how the whole thing
Yeah.
played out, and I'm kind of glad.
I think one piece of advice would be, try to buy the basics, then get out and use the camper
Yeah.
a couple times, and then see what you need to fill in. Don't overbuy. You're absolutely right. I think from our old lake cottage, we had all the plates, cups. We had a coffee maker. We had a blender. We had a toaster. We really
Right.
had almost everything to get started. We did go out and we bought things like, I think we bought some cutting boards, and we bought a knife set maybe.
Yeah, because you're going to want stuff that can store either
Right.
smaller, stackable, and we didn't have that. And so, multi-purpose items, something that has multi-purpose use. Mostly, I don't use that in our own home, but definitely comes into play when you have a camper.
And I think the other thing we bought, like linens for the bathroom in terms of towels, and for the kitchen, like the gloves and the oven mitts and the
Right.
apron. And
Dish towels,
I
yeah.
think over time, we want to kind of keep these are the camper linens, because when you come home and you do the laundry, you wash all that stuff, you put it back into its container, and it's ready to go on the next
Right.
trip.
So we have
it doesn't get mixed
I
in.
think that's a good, we have a pop-up hamper with
Yeah.
a zip top cover on it, which is a carrying strap, which is really good. I think we got it at Walmart. It was really cheap, and you can it's good for when you're out on the road and you're going to the laundromat or using the coin laundry. But you wash it at home, everything goes back into that, and it goes back to the camper the next
Just
time you
makes
go
it
out.
easy. Yeah.
Really keeps it separate, and you're not mixing your house linens with your camping linens and stuff.
And for bedding, I think we pretty much just took stuff we had. I know the mattresses are not the same size as home, but like a fitted sheet will fit. It's a little big. For the queen size mattress, it's a little big. For the kids' mattresses, it's a little
Right.
big. But it works, and
would
we
do
didn't
that.
have to buy all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how people who go full time would invest in things like Betty's. That makes a lot of sense. And if we spend any more amount of significant time in it, I would consider it, at least for our bed. But I think for the most part, kids throwing a fitted sheet and a comforter on top. You don't need to get fancy with top sheets or anything. Keep it really simple. It's just easier, and it's less things to wash.
And I think we did buy towels. You kind of wanted the ones that dried fast, right? I think was part of
Yeah, I don't know if we got that or not.
Okay.
So thinner is better. Some people buy Turkish towels. Nobody in our family is convinced that those would actually be good towels.
Yeah.
So we don't know. But I just went with thinner towels, and thinner is cheaper.
Okay.
And that has pretty much played out. You're in a camper, and so it's hard to find spots to dry stuff. And if you're in a humid area, that also takes longer. So, it's not home. It's camping still.
A couple other categories of startup inside the trailer. We had some big expenses. We bought a WeBoost cell booster. You
Right.
don't need that. For us, we wanted to be able, while we traveled, to still, some of us could do remote work. and some of the kids could do their remote homeschool. So that was a
Right.
big expense.
But necessary
But for
for
us,
us.
it was necessary.
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily need that. And then we bought a couple of TVs. The trailer didn't have any.
Right.
And we didn't take TVs from home. We didn't have any extra TVs lying around, so we did buy a couple
Yeah,
of TVs.
I don't know if that's. I mean, I will say the times that those come into play are if you
Rainy
have,
days.
like a really bad rainy
Yeah.
weather and you just can't get out to do anything else. I think then it's really been good to have those. But for the most part,
I think
you're
also
supposed
just
to
for
be doing other
quieting down
things.
at bedtime.
Yeah,
You know, we'll put
a movie on.
oftentimes
We
we'll-
just have, there's a DVD player already in the
yeah,
built
we
in.
put old movies on, and the kids quiet.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good time to get out your old DVD collection and put it in there. And the kids have had fun going over stuff they haven't watched in a while. So
And then other startup expenses that we had was like outdoor living, right? So you're at a campsite. We had some things, but it was camp chairs, a big rug,
right.
Other things like that, picnic tablecloths.
I think so. I think in that regard, like the picnic tablecloths, either get ones that are washable that you don't care that much about, or get the kind that are vinyl and wipe down. It's gonna be disposable. I mean, you can probably use it
Maybe one season or something.
maybe, but it just doesn't hold up, which is fine because I think they're only about $5.
Right.
So, but it's nice to have something to lay out on those campsite picnic tables, and the rug too. It's really big, and I still think about it's really nice to have that big area, but I kind of think about what would two smaller rugs be like if you only want to take out one. We do have a smaller one, the same kind of plastic material for the dog. I would say that your dog's going to be in your camper. If you have a dog and they're going to be laying around outside, you probably want something for them to lay on just so they don't track everything back into your
for sure.
camper. Yeah.
Speaking of the dog, we did get like that long metal lead for her
Right.
to go on and a spike. We barely ever use the spike, but we have been able to put her on the long lead.
Right.
Certain campsites have different rules, so you have to read what they, some
Yeah.
only allow it on a 6-foot leash. Others, they're okay with the lead. So
And most of the time, the rule is you have to be outside with your
with them.
dog.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost always have to.
Yeah.
So just a couple other thoughts on startup, kind of miscellaneous categories. For cooking, we bought cast iron. A skillet and
We bought like a skillet that has two sides, so it can be used inside or outside. As a griddle on one side,
Yeah.
and then I don't know what you call the ridged area.
Right.
And then we bought a Dutch oven that has a lid that doubles as a two-handled skillet. None of these are large in size, but we use them for everything.
Yeah, we use the heck out of those.
Yeah, and so things like that you can use for a lot of different things.
Yep.
Same with we bought, I don't know, I think it's pint size or even smaller mason jars.
Yeah.
We use them for drinking, but we also use them for storage. They have a lid so you can put extra leftovers or things like that. And that kind of stuff also comes in handy. Anything that can do double duty, even if it's not double duty in the kitchen, it can do double duty in a lot of different ways. What was the other thing that you
The
said?
electric kettle.
The electric kettle, yeah. So we're big tea drinkers, but then the electric kettle, oatmeal, you can use that for pretty much anything, for heating up water,
French press coffee.
French press coffee, for cleaning caked on dishes and stuff like that. You can heat it up the water, and you can if you get one that has the car thing, then you can plug it into your car. I mean, it's just that one I did not realize would be as useful as it has been, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
One other thing that we use a ton of is your command hooks, right? 3M strips.
Yeah, and I would say buy hooks in all sizes.
Yeah.
And they even have Velcro strips, which we have hung up wall hangings.
Yeah.
And we've used them in our home too, but the Velcro strips are just handy, and they don't damage your walls. They're easy to remove, and they're not that expensive. So you got to think. In a camper, you don't have a lot of floor space, so you got to think vertically. And so putting hooks on walls, you can dry towels, you can hang your purse, you can hang your jewelry, all different kinds of things come into play. And I think just keep an extra pack on hand, especially.
So that's pretty much the bulk of the startup supplies. Again, it was $2,801 on startup.
Yeah.
Our next largest category of spend was storage for the RV at $1,070. $1,070. Our home, we're not allowed to, we don't have a place for it really, and our neighborhood doesn't allow you to store the camper on our property. So we rent a space in one of those storage lots. It's secured, it has a fence all the way around and a passcode to get in, which is nice for us because you obviously worry about your belongings there. We actually kept the camper for about 5 months in one location,
Right.
and then we found one closer to home.
That ended up being a little bit cheaper too.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. So we're currently paying about $85 a month to store the camper. Depending on your situation, if you have a property, if your home's large enough to,
Or if you have family or friends that have property
Right.
that are willing to store it for you, that's a better way to go.
yeah, we would honestly prefer to keep it at our home.
Yeah.
It would make coming home and leaving on adventures easier if the camper was here. But it's just not what we have today. So $1,070 this first year on storage. The next largest category was maintenance, things that broke and needed to be repaired. $957 this first year on maintenance of things. We had some big expenses this year. I think if you've watched some of our videos, we blew out on 3 different occasions, 3 tires. And in the end, we replaced 5. So 4 tires plus the spare. So each tire, I think, was about $135. So we had a big spend there the first year on tires. But I would say anytime I buy a trailer from now on, if it's used, I'll probably just budget the money to replace the tires anyway.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a big expense. The other one, if you watched our videos, we broke the tongue jack on the trailer. I think that was about $150.
We broke the tongue jack.
We did.
we did.
We broke it. I fixed it. How about that?
Okay.
I broke the tongue jack backing up the van or pulling the van forward when the tongue jack was still down. So that was a big expense. Other than that, most of the maintenance has been, we had to replace the hinges on a cabinet because we broke that. That's a good
The
lesson.
slide going in and out, and we had been really careful
Yeah.
up until that, and I think we just got lazy with checking.
Yeah, the pantry door, the slide comes in and the pantry door wasn't shut, so when it pulled back out, it just yanked the door right off.
Yeah.
So fortunately, all it did, we were able to just replace a couple of hinges and we were back in business. But other than that, it's just been, we replaced the door catches on the outside door, just little constant things that break and need to be fixed. We also put a battery disconnect on. Our trailer didn't come with one, and we're still struggling with our electrical and trying to not have headaches. Right now, basically, every time we put it in storage, I take the battery out and bring it home and trickle charge it, and that's kind of our plan for the moment. But it's kind of an ongoing hassle there.
I think it's just because you haven't figured out the why exactly, if that's typical or not.
Yeah. We did also, when the tire blew out, it did shred the undercarriage, and so we bought some flex tape to repair that. Also, one of our propane tank hoses gave out, so I just replaced both of those. So, just again, kind of normal wear and tear on a camper. So that was, all of that totaled up to the first year, $957. The next largest category going down was insurance, and we spent $817 in our first year
We
on
spent
RV
too
insurance.
much.
We did, yeah. So I was going to say that. One of the things I did is I joined like a Facebook group for people that own the same brand of camper. We own a Wildwood by Forest River, and there's Facebook groups or other online forums, and people on there were chatting about how much they were spending on insurance, and it made me realize we were like 2 times what I was seeing people pay. So almost, I guess basically after this year, we did go find different insurance, bundled it with our home and auto, and we're going to save a ton of money. So we'll probably cut that expense in half in year 2. But we spent $817, something like $60 a month. That's too much. We were able to save nicely on that going into year 2. Okay, folks, that brings us to a grand total for the year. We spent $5,646 between startup and insurance, storage, and just maintenance and ongoing expense. So I hope that can be helpful to you. Obviously, there's some things in there that vary depending on your situation. Obviously, for us, one expense we don't have is we don't have any payments on the camper. And I know a lot of folks will finance their RV. That's something we just weren't comfortable with. We wanted to if we couldn't just buy it, we didn't want to get one. So for us, no expense in terms of finance charge on the camper. Also our tow vehicle, we don't have any expense on that because it's our normal van that we have. So that's a big difference as well. If you have to finance a camper, that's going to change this picture a lot as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So folks, thanks again for joining us. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please, again, we'd ask you to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell.
Yes, please.
And check us out on Instagram. We're at adventures.and.activities.
It's all that was left.
Follow us there,
Yes.
and we'll keep you up to date on what's coming next on the channel.
Yep, for sure.
Thanks, everyone.
My own web show, my own web show. Everybody wanna know my own web show, my own web show, my own web show. How will it go? My own web show, my own web show, my own web show. Everybody wanna know my own web show, my own web show.